is for Robert Mueller to sit down before Congress. Shannon.
All right, Trace Gallagher, thank you very much. Okay, special counsel's Russia investigation concluded no prosecutable legal case for collusion, but Democrats are still pinning their anti-Trump hopes on Robert Mueller. Let's discuss what's next with tonight's Power Panel. We've got talk radio host Chris Plante, Reuters White House correspondent Jeff Mason, and the author of the thriller Spy Master, Brad Thor. Great to have all of you with us.
Hey, Shannon.
Good to be with you, Shannon.
Thank you.
All right, I want to play a little bit more of this Tom Steyer ad, $1 million ad buy. He says, listen, Democrats, you're blowing it. Quit waiting around. It's time for impeachment. And he has people of all different backgrounds and ages to make the case for why this should happen. Here's the ad.
This is a message
for leaders of the Democratic Party. For over 2 years, this president has broken the law.
and nothing happened.
You told us to wait for the Mueller investigation.
And when he showed obstruction of justice,
Nothing happened.
now you tell us to wait for the next election?
Really?
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 All right, Chris, they are chomping at the bit. Time is now.
The united colors of cluelessness. I actually feel sorry for the people in the ad that are being used as dupes that apparently still believe what they see on a couple of other unnamed cable television networks. They've been lied to for 2 years every day by the Adam Schiffs of the world and by news anchors, and apparently they believe it. First of all, what happened to that No Money in Politics, the first billionaire donor that comes along to launch $1 million television campaign apparently designed to shame the Democrats on Capitol Hill? They should know that they're completely shameless. They are without shame. You cannot shame these people. And we have an embarrassing, I really think an embarrassing, the Mueller report is out, all right? It's over. It's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The movie's over. Go home. You didn't get what you wanted. You guys are like dead enders in Saddam Hussein's regime, like Japanese soldiers on an island in the 1970s taking notes on shipping traffic. There was no Russian collusion, except possibly, as the worm turns at this point, it looks like the Hillary dossier was based on information that Steele got from Russian intelligence sources. So things are changing quickly, and they're a little behind the times there in the Tom Steyer ad, I've got to say.
Well, there's a lot of talk of the Democrats, being internally divided about what they do next. The New York Times says this, that frustrated House Democrats pin their hopes on Mueller because obviously they're still trying to get him to the Hill. That says the plan was to dramatize the special counsel's damning report on national television with vivid testimony from witnesses who would discuss Mr. Mueller's findings on Russia's election interference and Mr. Trump's possible obstruction of justice. But so far, Mr. Trump and his allies have successfully parried every one of their moves. I mean, Jeff, we think a lot of this is going to end up in court as they fight about subpoenas and all kinds of other things. Do you think Mueller will come to the Hill, and will it solve anything?
Well, it almost certainly will end up in court. And as for whether or not Mueller will come to the Hill, that's still to be determined. That's still to be worked out. Certainly the Democrats would like to see him there. They still have questions that they don't believe were answered in his report. One of them being what was his intention or what was his own thinking in not charging the president with obstruction of justice. Those are questions that they would like to ask him. They'd like to do it in a setting that it would create some television to keep up the momentum that came out when the report first came out. And they're struggling with that right now because the president and the White House and the administration generally are not cooperating with their requests.
Well, and we had this back and forth with, just a couple of months ago, Speaker Nancy Pelosi was saying, it's not about impeachment, we're not going to do that, we're not united by that. There have always been vocal members, and there have been a number of them in the House who have voted on moving forward on impeachment, but she's kind of, as the leader, said that's not what we're going to do. She said this, I'm not for impeachment. It's so divisive to the country that unless there's something so compelling and overwhelming and bipartisan, I don't think we should go down that path because it divides the country and he's just not worth it. Now, Brad, more recently, in recent days, she has been saying things like, well, we might have to kind of start down the path to impeachment to get the information to find out if we actually do need to impeach him. Where do they go from here, Brad?
Well, I got to tell you, it is a loser. It's not going to go anywhere in the Senate. We know that. Plus, we've got 22 Republicans up for re-election, including Mitch McConnell. There's no way, even if the House was able to get their impeachment, that it'd make it through the Senate. So it's a waste of time. If the Democrats are going to do anything, they're going to need to focus on 2020. The Tom Steyer ad was a waste of money. This saber-rattling about impeachment's also a waste of time and money, resources. They need to focus on 2020, and that's why you see Biden so far out ahead, is because all the Democrats know their only chance chance is to leave all this junk behind and try to pin their hopes on somebody like Biden. So I think it's just, I don't know how much work is getting done, like little duck feet under the water, but I just think it's a loser, 100% wall-to-wall for them. Yeah. But it's Congress's fault that they gave up all this power. The Republicans, this has been going on for generations, at least back to the 60s. Congress really has ceded too much to the executive. Doesn't matter Republican or Democrat in the Oval Office. Congress really needs to pull its power back, whether the Republicans do it or whether the Democrats do it. We've got to get back to a balance in D.C. That'll clear up a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Chris, it seems that there is a lot of bipartisan agreement about that. Regardless of who the president is, the Congress does have oversight powers and capabilities. Have they ceded too much of that authority to now be making these arguments?
Well, to the extent that they still have, and the Congress has plenty of power to this day. In fact, I'd like to see the Senate take up something like the Church Committee of 1975, looking at abuses of the CIA and the FBI. But the problem the Democrats have is not that they don't have sufficient power; it's that they're abusing that power in an almost comical way, in a clownish way, casting a wide net, subpoenaing everybody in millions of pages of documents when they don't even read the 448-page report that's made available to them in a virtually unredacted form at the Justice Department. And even Adam Schiff and Chairman Nadler don't go down and look at the virtually unredacted reports. They're not serious about pursuing a serious goal. I mean, it's over. I mean, again, there was no Russian collusion. The issue of obstruction has been dealt with. The Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, the Office of Legal Counsel, the Department of Justice have adjudicated that. It's over. They're just flogging a dead horse here, and they can subpoena all the people they want. And when Mueller comes up, which I assume he probably will at some point, to Capitol Hill, he's not coming with a silver bullet that's going to turn everything around and say, well, I left out this part about Russian collusion. He didn't leave anything out. It's 448 pages. Everything he had to say is in there. More testimony may make for more television. It's all a terrible television show, but it's not going to give them the answer that they want, which is just done. It's over. Move on.
I'm still going to pop popcorn. And I hope that you all will join me in that, too, because we'll all be watching if he gets up there.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, Chris, Jeff, and Brad, thank you all very much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
You have a great one, too.
Okay, New York City Mayor.